going about our lives with what's called the separate self, or this sort of projected illusion of a self that we have, of all our fantasies and desires and the idea of getting somewhere, and we're constantly trapped in that mode where all we really do is react, and we're buffeted about. You know, we're shot back and forth like a ping pong ball, like in a pinball machine. We're just go from one reaction to the next, and it's always just about always negative reactions. You know, those are the ones that get us the most riled up. And have you ever known people that are like that, where it just seems like their life is one overreaction after another because they love the drama? They're not mindful. They don't have that presence where they can center or integrate the separate self back inside of themselves and become mindful of really, really present. And that's why I wanted to talk about getting that back, or at least working on it, thinking about it, centering yourself in that. I wanted to title this video something like "What Death Taught Me," or what I learned from dying. Because I did learn some stuff from dying, and I guess not, you can't really say literally die. None of us that are here have obviously died all the way. But, I've come pretty close a couple times, and each time has taught me more, and it's given me a new outlook on things over and over again, consistently. And death is a lot like they say in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or like they talk about in an LSD trip. Very, very similar kinds of imagery, themes, terror, and it's never quite exactly the same way twice. When you think you've got it down, you think you've got it pinned, you don't. It switches up on you every single time. And that's what's so frightening about it. You can't really predict it. You have to let go, but you're letting go into something that's you don't want to let go into. So that is person almost smashed into me there. That is the real crux of death, is the fact that we don't really want to let go. The human body is not designed to let go, and so it can linger on for days, months, weeks, years, decades, in just excruciating agony. And the death process is not a pleasant one necessarily. It's one that is can be quite prolonged because the body can't let go. Or sometimes the body wants to let go, but the mind can't, for the various reasons. The separate self is so strong. But one thing that I learned when I was really close, I felt, to passing away, and experiencing a lot of these just overwhelming sensations, overwhelming feelings, just utter terror, depression, all those types of things. I talked about tragedy in my last video, and I felt, that my impending death was a tragedy. I realized that I had not lived my life in a mindful way. I had been given an opportunity, and I thought I had been doing the right thing with it, but I had squandered it. I really had squandered it completely. And the things that seem so important to us right now in this moment are absolutely the least important things when we're on our deathbed. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's shocking. It's the biggest shock you'll probably ever have. You might think you're a great person. You might think you followed the right religion or all these other things, all this stuff, and then the last moments, it's all, you realize it's all worthless. It's all worthless. You spent your life chasing adornments for the separate self, and in the end, they amounted to nothing. Those were dust in the wind, right? They were vanity. The vanity, as it says in the Bible, all is vanity and grasping at the wind, right? Ecclesiastes. So don't say I don't know my Bible. states of impermanence and things like that we go through, that we become terrified by and we want to cling on to, causes us to have these visions. If you read about the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they talk about many different types of things that can occur to you in the moments before death. But if you've lived your life in a mindful way and you've spent some time, if you've invested time into quiet, into peace, into introspection, and above all, I think, to interacting with others, to pulling yourself out of isolation and allowing a separate self to integrate into the natural self, and allowing the energy of the body even to integrate with the environment and with the people around you, to try and attempt to do that, to help other people, because that's really the highest service you can render them. They're suffering really bad, most people are just like walking wounded, and they never meet somebody like that in their entire life, somebody that's willing to I was watching a Mr. Rogers documentary. People said, he was like nobody else, because when I was with him, he was completely there with me. I was the only person in the whole world, I felt like. So that's the kind of thing that will pay dividends, in the moments before your death, if you can invest in those things. And I know that they seem ridiculous or foolish and so on and so forth, but trust me, when the moment comes, and, again, the Bible tells us, you'll know either the time
Take
or
exit
the hour.
28B for Maryland 650 New Hampshire Avenue toward Tacoma Park.
We don't know the time, we don't know the hour of our departure. And once that happens, all the things that you thought were so important, you're going to realize your whole life was like a TV show, almost. And the only things that were real that you did involved love. The only thing that mattered was the way in which you interacted with and treated other people. Now, I'm not saying, hippy-dippy stuff necessarily. It could be tough love. It can be, a father disciplining his child or something like that. It doesn't always have to be the hippie kind of stuff. But in the end, that's what death teaches. Death teaches, this was Terence McKenna's last words apparently, was that it was all about love all along, right? It was all, I see it now, I see it as his brain's breaking down, I see it, I see how I see the attractive force of love that molds and forms everything. The attraction and repulsion, it's all love. That's what it is, really.
In a half mile, take exit 28B for Maryland 650 New Hampshire Avenue toward Tacoma Park.
And I think there's something to that. There's something to that. Not just, I don't mean the chemical love, I mean an actual, particle
Exit
attraction.
28B.
An attraction of mass. And that's what it's all about, man. And when the time comes,
merge onto Maryland 650 South.
the time comes that greater mass, that singularity,
Take exit 28A.
sucks you back in. It sucks you back into to past the event horizon, and you rejoin the source, I guess.
Quarter mile, turn right onto Elton Road.
But I don't believe that we're conscious for that necessarily. But I believe that in the moments before our death, we could potentially be, getting ourselves into a much worse situation, or extricating ourselves into a better one. And that's the Buddhist philosophy, the Buddhist point of view, and it's based on a lot of different...
Turn right onto Elton Road.
A lot of different stuff. Thousands of years of people having these experiences. So I think there's something there. I think that it's important to not to focus on death, but to think about these things, and realize after I had some of these things, especially the most recent one, I felt like I'm not spending enough time being very mindful, being very present, being with other people, just sitting. Before I was very immersed in, I have to get these different things done because it's my life mission and all this stuff. And the other stuff can wait. I can do that when I'm older or later. No, there's no older, there's no later. You've got to do it now, and you've got to enjoy life now in that intimate way. You've got to just do it. Try it. See if you can handle it.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto Wooded Way.
It can be difficult for a lot of people, but do it. Do it. Sit there. Sit with yourself for a few minutes each day in the room, if you can, or outside with other people. Just relate on like this, just on a very one-to-one personal basis. I think you'll be surprised at how much you're gonna. I want to say grow, but it's not. You're not really. It's much more subtle than that. It's something very, very subtle. So try it. Maybe you'll see what I mean. At the end of the day, right before you go to sleep, because that's when you're simulating the moments before death. Each time you go to sleep, do you feel good or do you feel bad? Do you
Turn
feel
left onto Wooded Way.
Do you feel you've done the right thing today? Do you feel that you've done something right, or do you just feel like you've wasted yet another day in the pursuit of
In a quarter mile,
vanity?
Turn right onto Riggs Road.
Vanity. Vanity. All is vanity and grasping at the wind. Remember that. Remember that. It's not fun in your last seconds to realize in horror that you have lived a tragic life. That's not what you want. Okay, guys?
In 500 feet, turn right onto Rustic Lane.
So, something to think about.
Turn right onto Rustic Lane, then turn right onto Forestdale Drive.
Oh, I noticed that Delamo was back. Yeah, he's my favorite. He's my favorite.
Turn right onto Forestdale Drive.
I hope he's watching this. I love you, man. Take care. Hopefully I'll see you down there sometime if I can ever get my ass together.